What's up everyone, X and YouTube. So I'm just doing a quick video on Bitcoin as we approach this weekly close. And if you look at this weekly candle. This is beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Last week we had the bounce. We got back into this zone as noted right here. And I discussed that we're likely to see a continuation to this upper range. And I think we're going to get there. I think we're going to approach this range. I think this is going to happen. Now the question will be will we break through this on the first attempt? Is this the breakout that's going to finally happen? Or do we kind of get rejected and then it takes a little bit more time to get through this area as we head into the election? That's the main question. But currently, this weekly candle close is just very strong. It looks very solid. There's not much else that you can say. Unless this reverses tomorrow, this will be a very good close for the market. And the interesting thing about it is this week, the S&P 500 actually had a huge red weekly candle. And this is the first red weekly candle it's had since all the way back here in May. Meanwhile, Bitcoin is having this huge green weekly candle. And the S&P 500 back in April continued up after this April dip. While if you look at Bitcoin dipped back in April right here, but it didn't continue up. So in a way, Bitcoin does have a lot of catching up to do with the S&P 500. And this is something that we kind of saw at some point last year. So it's not surprising if we were to see it again. It was back during this consolidation, I believe, during this area. The S&P 500 continued higher, and then Bitcoin kind of caught up eventually. So it's possible right now that Bitcoin is undervalued. And I think a lot of this ultimately, right, is because of what's going on with the election and what's going on with Trump and what's going on with the SEC. The SEC is likely to get overhauled if Trump were to win the election. And if Trump were to win the election, it also would be bullish just on this whole space because the current administration has just made it very difficult for crypto companies, crypto coins to run. There's been lawsuits against everything, Coinbase, Uniswap, Chainlink, Solana, Cardano, Binance. Everything's been under attack. And then obviously with the Bitcoin miners, the whole ESG stuff and the energy stuff was attacked a few years ago, as many of you probably recall, back in 2021. So I think if we see a change in the administration of the SEC, change in president, then I think this will all be very bullish. And basically since the shot that everyone heard or saw on live TV last weekend, Bitcoin has just gone straight up since. And it's likely due because it increased the odds that Donald Trump will be elected, which what the Bitcoin market and crypto markets want and would like. So because of that, it's definitely, I think, playing into this. And usually narratives like that don't, I think, affect markets as much. But I think this kind of caught people off guard. And it's kind of similar to what we saw way back here last year during back in October before the ETF was launched. We saw a fake news report, I believe it was on this very day. We saw a fake news report that stated the Bitcoin ETF was confirmed, and it caught people off guard and made people realize, oh crap, I don't have enough Bitcoin, because immediately there was a huge reaction to it. So I think the market was going to take a little bit more time, but it kind of jump-started this whole thing. And I think that's kind of what we might end up seeing right now, where people are like, oh crap, Trump is going to probably win this, rather than wait for the election. It kind of jump-started this. And I think if this were to break now, if this were to break this all-time high area, then probably that's what is going on. And usually markets wait. If you look at the S&P 500, markets typically wait until the election results are confirmed before they decide to continue up or go whichever direction they want. So if you look back in 2020, this was the election week. All this was not priced in. All this upside right here from 3,500 all the way up to 4,500 that occurred over the following year, that was not priced in. The market waited. Joe Biden won the election on this week, and then it continued up. And then if you look back in 2016, this was in November right here. Donald Trump won the election. None of this was priced in. It continued up after. And then we go back to 2012. This will be the same exact thing. November, none of this upside. Barack Obama won the election. None of this was priced in. The markets continued up. So the markets, traditional market investors typically wait until the election results are confirmed before they start moving money into traditional markets. And now that Bitcoin has the ETF and the Ethereum ETF is launching on Tuesday, we're going to see traditional investors enter this market more so than we have in the past. So logically, you would think that they would wait until the election is confirmed, that whether or not Donald Trump wins or whoever else wins, you'd think that they would wait. But it is possible now that because of the betting odds that are now placing a Trump election victory now at around 65 or 70% at this point, maybe markets are starting to try to jump ahead of the curve, and maybe that's what we're seeing right now. But we'll find out very soon. If this does break out, then that probably is the case. And if you just look across the markets, if you look at Ethereum is getting up to resistance right here. It's trying to break this resistance. The Ethereum ETF is going to be listed on Tuesday. There was actually some good news with the Grayscale ETF. The Grayscale ETF fee will only be about 0.15%, which is apparently the cheapest ETF fee, which with the Bitcoin ETF had the highest ETF fee for Grayscale. And we saw all the sell-off because people wanted to get out of Grayscale because of the fee into other ETF products or just put it into other investments. But I think now with the ETH ETF having the lowest fee, there's not as big of an incentive to sell the Grayscale ETH ETF product. And if anything, we might see Grayscale see demand because of the fee, because they are the cheapest option. So it might be a complete reverse. So that might end up benefiting ETH with this launch, but we'll find out more on Tuesday. I think the market is still unsure. I'm sure a lot of people are expecting a crash. I don't see too much confidence with the Ethereum ETF, and I think it's more of a wait and see approach. People want to see if this is going to tank or if this is going to break out here, and then we'll see money move in faster. So if you're not following me on YouTube, I post all these videos on YouTube about 90 minutes earlier, so make sure to subscribe on there, and I post all these videos on X afterwards. So I'm trying to build up my YouTube following and have multiple platforms so I'm not tied to one, and it's kind of de-risking myself to any potential, just anything that can happen with these social media platforms. Obviously, you never know when they can just decide. And X has definitely been better, but I still would like to have multiple platforms. So if you're not subscribed, make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. It'll be in the link below on my YouTube and then in my Twitter profile page next to my bio.